As Prime Minister Boris Johnson's key advisor Dominic Cummings shakes up the division of power in Whitehall, north of the border politics takes a step forward on equality. These were just some of the subjects in yesterday's comment and opinion pages. The Times. In her column, Rachel Sylvester says Dominic Cummings is the Marxist of Downing Street. She wrote, "The real target of the reshuffle was not Mr Javid but the Treasury." Dominic Cummings, the Prime Minister's senior advisor, sees the Chancellor's department as a Remain-supporting, fiscally conservative roadblock to reform. He once said he wanted to break the power of the Treasury, the only rival powerbase to number 10 in Whitehall, and is now setting about it. Brexiteers have always been suspicious of the Treasury because its experts have repeatedly warned about the economic consequences of leaving the EU. Iain Duncan Smith, the former Tory leader, has called for the department to be broken up, describing it as the worst thing we have in Britain. When he was Work and Pensions Secretary, he once warned a Treasury official who had challenged his universal credit plans that if he didn't fall into line he would be eating his own balls for breakfast. Mr Cummings has also started to see the department that likes to say no as the biggest impediment to his campaign to level up the regions by pouring money into the so-called red wall seats in the North and Midlands that switched from Labour to Conservative at the last election. She added, "This is more about power than policy." Mr Javid was the latest victim of Mr Cummings's long march through the institutions on the road to a revolution that he hopes will reshape the state and tackle what he sees as the liberal bias of the British establishment. The Guardian. Daniel Trilling also talks about the fallout from Mr Johnson's reshuffle in his column. He said, "It has become received wisdom among Westminster pundits that the new winning formula in politics is to move left on economics and right on culture. Boris Johnson's cabinet reshuffle looks like an attempt to put this lesson into practice, forcing Sajid Javid, an advocate of strict spending limits, out of the Treasury suggests that the Prime Minister wants to strategically splash money around, however superficial this moving left might prove to be." At the same time, Johnson's government has sent a series of clear signals to the right, on immigration, on perceived liberal bias at the BBC, on the free speech crisis in universities, the latest of which is the appointment of Sula Braverman as Attorney General. This suggests that the government intends to pursue the pantomime authoritarianism displayed by the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, at last year's party conference, an ostentatious cruelty, directed at people who supposedly threaten pub. For more on this story, visit the news article link.